As battle for power continues to rage across Primus, the Dark Syndicate prepares to silence the Crimson Fane. The Crimson Fane dispatched the Nines of House Escher in the pit and rebuked an attack from the Vanguard enforcers. The Dark Syndicate has been at the center of the conflict, listening in the shadows and pitting gangs against each other with lies and deceit. If the Crimson Fane can be handled, the Dark Syndicate will firmly take grip on this sector of Primus. They know, however, it will not be an easy task. Welcome back to Shadows of Primus and a top table matchup between the Dark Syndicate of House Delaque and the Crimson Fane Corpse Grinder Cult. Both of these gangs have done very well in the opening weeks and sit at 2-0. Only one will continue undefeated, and the Dark Syndicate are short a champion and a ganger. As always, I like to show something for or by the community before we get started today, and I would like to highlight some of the podcasts out there, such as Some City Radio and the Dome Runners. If you're just getting into the game and want some additional info, be sure to give them a listen. Some City Radio also has a Facebook group, and links will be in the description. Okay, House Delaque has some changes since week 2. As mentioned, they are short a champion and a ganger this week. They spent their credits to add another ganger, Onyx. He joins with an autogun and flak armor. Some additional photo goggles were handed out, and they took part today with 7 active fighters, a rating of 1200, and a total wealth of 1225. The Crimson Fane had a lot of credits to spend and have added a new initiate, Biter. He joins with an auto pistol and Butcher's Cleaver. He also added smoke grenades and wears flak armor. A new ganger, Delaque, was also added. He is equipped with paired heavy chain cleavers, an armored undersuit, plate mail, and stem slug stash. Their ranks swell to 10 as they depart with a gang rating of 1520 and a total wealth of 1605. Today we're fighting over the Gilder Stronghold, which allows ganger recruitment on a 3-up and d6 times 10 income. The scenario is standoff and will be on a 3x3 today, and both crews are custom 10. The Corpse Grinders will have a numbers advantage today. Both gangs will select 2 tactics cards, but due to the 575-point crew advantage to the Crimson Fane, the Dark Syndicate will get a total of 7 tactics cards. The Dark Syndicate's tactics consist of Darkness Descends, Faceless, Friend or Foe, Over Here, Mass Infiltration, Dancing Shadows, and Lucky Shot. The Crimson Fane have their version of Blood Surge and Frenzy. The objective is, this match is simple: take out as many enemy fighters as possible. 3 points are scored for a leader, 2 points are scored for a champion, and 1 point for any other fighter. If you want sneak peeks of this stuff and anything else, be sure to give me a follow on Instagram, as I post there along with other projects I'm currently working on. And with that said, we're ready for the opening of Week 3 in our Dominion campaign. I hope you enjoy. As we prepare for Turn 1 with deployment complete, the Corpse Grinders have the Needleways, allowing them to infiltrate an additional 3 fighters along with their 4 initiates. So about 70% of their fighters have infiltrated on this map. The Dark Syndicate did play Mass Infiltration. They rolled up a 1, and they have placed their leader, Mr. Black, on top of the walkway here. Priority rolls for Turn 1 are coming up next. All right, priority rolls hit the deck for Turn 1, and it looks like it's going to be a tie. So we're going to re-roll these back out, and we're tying again. The third time will be a charm, as it looks like the Dark Syndicate will take it with a 5. And Mr. Black will activate first for the Dark Syndicate using his first action to move. His second will be to fire his plasma gun down at the Initiate. Actually has him in short range here, so getting a +2 modifier that negates the -2 for full cover. And he will need 3s in order to connect, and that shot is just going to miss. Delaque activates first for the Crimson Fane and will use both of his actions to move forward, getting behind cover, and then back over to the Dark Syndicate. We've got the newly added ganger Onyx with his autogun. He uses both of his actions to move, going up to the walkway. And then we've got Diablo for the Crimson Fane. He will use both of his actions to move, getting behind cover as well, closing the gap on the initial turn. And in a bit of trickery here, Snake Eyes, who's up against this door, uses his first action to open it, and his second action will be to fire at Bonejaw, and he's got him in the open with his auto gun. So it will need a straight 4s to hit here, and rolling that out, he will hit, and we're going to count that as a 3, as that's what it was rolling over to. This weapon is rapid fire, so that first wound goes out and it's good, needing 4s at strength 3, toughness 3. So 2 more rolls coming out for the rapid fire, 1 more wound goes in, and then he will get a 5-up save wearing flak armor and an initiate's mask. There's no AP on this weapon. 2 5-up saves are taken here, both are failed, and that reduces him to 0 wounds. 2 injury dice will be rolled out for Bonejaw here, and it looks like he is getting a flesh wound and going down with a serious injury. And continuing round 1 fireworks, the new initiate Biter will use his first action to move around the corner, and he is going to catch Severus here. Got him in the open. He's going to fire his auto pistol and will need straight 4s in order to hit. Shot goes out and it is going to be good, so that fighter will go down pinned, and then he will need 4s in order to wound. He is going to do a wound. Flak armor will be a 6-up save, and it will be failed. So an injury die will be rolled out here for him, and it looks like he is going down with a serious injury as well. Severus will go ahead and activate next, and he will use his actions to crawl, trying to get behind cover so he can't be targeted. And then back to the Crimson Fane, Skullshank will use both of his actions to move, applying pressure to the Dark Syndicate on that flank. Now we move over to the Dark Syndicate, where Raven moves into position with his first action and will fire with his long rifle. He does have him in the open. He will need to pass a willpower check, which is a 6-up in order to shoot. He will pass on this 8. So rolling out to hit, needing 3s, the shot will hit. Fighter will go down pinned and he will be knocked back. Strength 4 against toughness 3 requires 3s to wound. The wound roll fails. Activation moves back to the Crimson Fane, where Gormaw is going to use both of his actions to move, once again applying even more pressure on this flank. And then back to the Dark Syndicate, their specialist Darkside is going to move with both of his actions, getting behind cover. And then back to the Crimson Fane, Mero will use his first action to move. His second action will be to fire his autogun, and he is going to target Darkside. He will get a cover benefit from this, so hitting on 5s. The shot misses, an ammo check is required, and it is good. And then we flip back over to Midnight, who is the Juve here. He moves down the ladder and into position. He hits on 5s, so not that useful for shooting. And then the Butcher is going to activate for the Crimson Fane, use both of his actions to move, applying pressure down the left flank. Gormaw then activates, uses his first action to move up, his second action to open the door. This goes down the middle. And then Slipknot is going to use both of his actions to move, and he is going to try to give some assistance to Bonejaw. So turn 1 is over, and we immediately saw some action, which you normally do when most of the fighters are infiltrated. And we did have 1 serious injury for the Crimson Fane. We also had a serious injury for the Dark Syndicate. So we are going to wrap things up and roll to see if they recover. Bonejaw is getting an assist, so 2 injury dice will be rolled for him. And an injury die being rolled for Severus here to see if he recovers, and it is an out of action. And it looks like that he is going to use the lucky shot card to re-roll this, trying to keep him in the game. And it looks like that tactic works, and he rolls back over with a flesh wound. Bonejaw, we are going to roll 2 dice for him as he is getting an assist from Slipknot, and he is going to roll up a flesh wound, so he will roll back over as well, but he has 2 on him. And let's get to the turn 2 priority rolls. And it looks like it's going to be a cocked die for the Corpse Grinders, 5 out for the Dark Syndicate, re-rolling this die back out. and it looks like the priority is going to the Dark Syndicate. And the Dark Syndicate will play a tactics card here, Friend or Foe, and it's on Snake Eyes, and that means that this character will not be able to be targeted for attacks this entire turn unless he shoots to reveal himself. And once again, Mr. Black activates first, targeting Marrow with his plasma gun. He does aim first, so the short range modifier will negate the full cover, and he is going to get a hit. The roll to wound, needing 3s, he will do a wound. AP -1 takes him to a 6-up save, and it's good. As Marrow goes down pinned behind cover, we flip over to Slipknot. He uses his first action to move, bringing Darkseid within 4 inches of his auto pistol. He will then shoot him with it. So with that short range bonus of +1, he will hit on 3s. The shot rattles off and misses. We flip back over to the Dark Syndicate, where Raven is going to target Skullshank, who is down on the ground, but he is in the open. He's not behind terrain. He will need to pass a willpower check. In order to take the shot, he will pass on an 8, and he will need 3s in order to hit. And we do roll a die kind of off camera here, but it is going to strike him. And then it is Strength 4 against Toughness 3. So 3s will be needed to wound, and he is going to roll up another 6. So that's going to require an armor save from me. Armored undersuit with plate mail and a mask. It still fails, so that will do a wound to him. And this champion has the skill Fast Shot, allowing him to shoot again. However, the willpower test is failed. The Crimson Fane then activates the Initiate Biter, uses his first action to move. This will bring Severus into line of sight. He is not counted as being behind the cover, and Biter will shoot his auto pistol at him, needing 4s. And lucky for Severus, this shot is going to miss. We then move back over to the Dark Syndicate, where the Juve Midnight is going to target Slipknot, and the Juve normally hits on 5. He will aim first to negate the partial cover, so needing 5s here, and that shot is also going to miss. Gorgon then activates for the Crimson Fane, and he moves through the door he opened on the last turn, quickly applying pressure down the center of the board as he gets behind cover. And this will get a reaction from Onyx, and Onyx will use his first action to move. His second action will be to target Gorgon with his autogun. Due to the height advantage here and him not being up against the cover, we are not giving him any, so the shot will need just straight 3s with the short range bonus within 8 inches, and the shot will miss. Diablo then activates, uses both of his actions to move, staying behind cover as they continue to work their way up the board, and then back over for the Dark Syndicate. Severus gets to his feet with his first action and will target Biter with his shotgun, fires it in solid mode, and it will require an ammo check. It does hit him. The ammo check needs a 4, which is good, and this is going to be 3s in order to wound. It will cause a wound. He is knocked back and pinned, and then the armor save is no good, so an injury die will be rolled out here for him, and he is going down with a serious injury. And that requires a nearby cool test from Skullshank, and on double 1s, he becomes broken. He will make a crawl. Gormal then activates next and will use both of his actions to move. Was going to try to get into versatile range of Severus, but then decides to give an assist to Biter. On the other side of the board, fighting continues as Darkseid unleashes his web gun, and firing this at the Corpse Grinders. He has 2 of them lined up under the template, Slipknot as well as Gorgon, and this thing auto hits, and it's a strength 5, so you're just going to roll to wound here, and if it does a wound, they go down seriously injured, and Slipknot does go down seriously injured, and Gorgon also goes down seriously injured. And while these fighters are considered seriously injured, they are technically webbed, and I will explain that as we get to the end phase. We also forget to roll the firepower dice with this attack, so we quickly roll that out, and it is good. And then back to the Crimson Fane, we've got Belloc, who is also making his way down the right side of the board, using both actions to move. And then for the Dark Syndicate, Snake Eyes, the short range turns out to be long. The shot is still going to hit, however, but the Corpse Grinders are going to play a tactics card, their version of Blood Surge. The fighter does not become pinned and gets to make a simple move, and that happens now. And back on the other side of the board, the Butcher uses both of his actions, moving right beside Midnight, and the gap has now closed on the Dark Syndicate. Remaining moves with the Crimson Fane, Bonejaw gets up and moves over to give an assist to Gorgon to help him get unwebbed, and then Marrow gets to his feet and will target Onyx with his auto pistol. The Dark Syndicate play a tactics card, Dancing Shadows, which will require an intelligence check, so he will require a 9-up roll to be able to take this shot. Even though he's got him in the open, the shot cannot be taken. And that brings turn 2 to a close, and the Corpse Grinders have closed in on both flanks. Fighters are now up in the faces of the Dark Syndicate. Dark Syndicate doing everything they can from a tactics perspective to keep their gang viable and in this game. We do have a fighter that is seriously injured, so we will need to roll for him, and we do have some fighters that are webbed. On a flesh wound, they will be able to get out of that web and take a flesh wound. On a serious injury, they will stay down and stay webbed, and if they roll an out of action, they will succumb to a sedative on the webbing and be removed from the game. Injury roll for Skullshank is out of action, and on the lasting injuries table, he rolls up a 22. So he is just out cold. We also will roll up for Biter, and then we will roll out another due to Gorma being close by, and it will be a serious injury. And now rolling for Slipknot, who is down webbed. He is going to stay webbed. And then rolling 2 for Gorgon, as he's got someone trying to help him get unwebbed. Unfortunately for him, however, he is going to stay webbed as well. All right, as we move to turn 3, you can really feel the tension. Priority rolls coming out now, and the Dark Syndicate roll up a 6, and they are going to play a tactics card called Darkness Descends, and this cuts the lights. Now, this tactics card puts the pitch black rule into effect, where essentially you've got to be within 3 inches of a fighter to even see them, and that includes a double move charge. So if you have photo goggles or an infrascope, that is extended to 12. So with the Dark Syndicate winning priority, they can really take advantage of this tactics card now. And that is exactly what they do, as the Juve Midnight uses both of his actions to move, slipping into the darkness where the Butcher can no longer see him. Tricks continue to come around as Gorma attempts to activate and move into versatile range, but the Dark Syndicate play the tactics card over here and essentially move him 2 inches back. So now his only option is to use his second action to move forward, now not getting the opportunity to fight Severus. Darkseid then activates and moves, and he is going to fire at the 3-inch space in front of him with his web gun, and this is going to hit the Butcher, firing that into the darkness and hitting the Butcher with it, and it is a Strength 5 against Toughness 4, so on a 3-up, the Butcher will go down webbed and will have to recover in the end phase. And that's exactly what happens, and the Dark Syndicate once again proving that they can fight in the darkness. While the gaps have been closed, the fights are on their terms. Bonejaw activates for the Crimson Fane, and he moves up, bringing Darkseid within 3 inches. This will give him a +1 to hit. There is a cover bonus that will be in effect here as well. The shot is going to miss. The Dark Syndicate activates Raven, and he has Belloc within 12 inches. He can see him due to the infrascope, and he will take a shot with his long-range rifle. Does have him in the open, so needing 3s to hit, and that shot is going to miss. He will shoot again due to fast shot, and that shot will hit. There will be an ammo check that is required. The ammo roll will fail, so that weapon will be out of ammo. We will roll to wound here, Strength 4 against Toughness 3, so 3s are needed to wound, and a wound will take place. An armor save will be taken and failed on this one, so an injury die will be rolled out here, and he goes down with a serious injury. A cool check from nearby Biter is good. Over for the Corpse Grinders, Frenzy being played, and it's within line of sight and 9 inches. He's going to target Mr. Black with this, and he's required to pass a cool check. If he doesn't, he loses his activation. He passes, however. Mr. Black does activate next and targets him with the plasma gun, and it's anything but with short range here in low setting. It is going to strike Marrow. He will go down pinned, and then the roll to wound is going to be good, just needing 3s here. The armor save is going to be failed at AP -2, and an injury die will be rolled out. He is out of action. Injury result being rolled here for Marrow. It is a 36. That will be a grievous injury. And then he will use his second action to move, taking a better position here on the catwalk. And then over for the Corpse Grinders, we have a crawl. This is Delaque trying to get out of charge range, as he can be seen by Snake Eyes with his photo goggles. And he needs a 5 or a 6 on this D3 to make that charge. And he will charge into contact as he can see, and he will give the coup de grace to Delaque. The injury roll was a 45, which is the grievous injury, and then Diablo will move down, preparing to charge on the next turn. And then we've got Severus. He will activate for the Dark Syndicate. He does have photo goggles, so he can see, but we're going to check the willpower first, and he's going to be good with an 11. And he will be targeting Gormal with his shotgun, firing in scattershot this time, getting a +2 modifier to hit for short range, and that is easily going to hit, just trying to get him pinned. And it is scattershot, so rolling a d6 to see how many wound rolls you will make, and it is going to be 6. So it is strength 2 against toughness 3. 5s will be needed, but rolling 6 wound rolls and 2 5s, that will be the wounds. And then the AP on this weapon is nil, so plate mail, armored undersuit, and the mask is a 4-up save. And as a correction, it's actually a 3-up save coming from the front. The end result is still just a flesh wound, so no big change here. Severus will use his second action to move, trying to get out of range of his versatile rotary flensing saw. And then we'll see the Butcher. He is going to make a crawl move. And then we will flip back over to the Dark Syndicate, and we have Onyx. He is going to adjust and then fire down with his auto gun, and he'll be targeting Bonejaw. And he is just going to need straight 3s here. He can see as well due to photo goggles, and that shot is going to miss. Ammo check will be required, and on this 5, the ammo check is good. And the rest of the Crimson Fane are going to stay put. And as we move to the end phase, we do have a fighter that is seriously injured. We will need to roll recovery for him, as well as several fighters that are webbed. We'll need to see if they stay down or if they can roll back over and continue the fight. At this point, the Corpse Grinders are down several fighters, so I am questioning if I want to continue this one or not. And in recovery roll for Biter, he is going to stay down with a serious injury. Back on the other flank, we'll see the Butcher. He has to roll for the web. He will roll back over with a flesh wound, getting out of that web. Slipknot rolls up as well, attempting to get out of his web, and on this flesh wound, he will successfully do so. And then Gorgon will roll up as well, and he is also going to roll back over with a flesh wound. Also in the end phase, we roll a d6, and on a 6, the darkness ends, and the lights are officially cut back on, and this time they are full blast, but the Corpse Grinders are going to use this opportunity to go ahead and disappear. We have to roll for Biter to see if he succumbs to his injuries on a 1 or a 2, and he does. We then roll up on the last ring injury table, and it's going to be a 3 and a 5. This will be a grievous injury. The Dark Syndicate are going to take a victory today, and the post-game report is coming right up. And welcome back to the post-game, where the Dark Syndicate will take the win and improve to 3-0. The Crimson Fane will fall to 2-1. That was an interesting battle, and the strategies through tactics cards really made it difficult for me to break through. And the web weapon, man, that thing is incredible. I genuinely felt I was still in the game, even though I'd made the decision to bottle and flee. The only scary thing is, if I lost priority, I would have immediately lost another initiate, or get hammered with the web template, potentially hitting 3 fighters. If I'd won the initiative, I could have got a charge off potentially, but I felt I could do some damage. Spoiler alert, I lost. That's right, all 4 turns would have went to Delaque. I took about 15 minutes before deciding to flee. My game was pretty banged up, and the risk outweighed the reward. I will say that as cheesy as the corpse grinders can be, Delaque has some crazy tactics. It's really what turned the game in their favor and seemed to be a good balancing mechanic. For spoils, the Dark Syndicate will get 50 credits and plus 3 rep, while the Crimson Fane will get 15 credits. As you can tell from the rewards, it just really wasn't worth risking much more. As we bring this game to a close, I want to say thank you to our 2021 Coffee Supporters Club. Special thanks to Evan, Jamie and Jackson, Fitz, Jacob, Legend Eternal, and Will. Your support has allowed me to get some additional lighting, and I plan on doing much more with the fog when I get my modifications done. If you would like more info on joining the Supporters Club, I'll put a link down below, and I'll give you a shout out in an upcoming video. All proceeds just go to make this channel a little bit better for everyone to enjoy. I hope you've enjoyed this episode of Necromunda, and we'll be back soon with our next matchup determined by the community poll on my YouTube page. Take care for now.